Welcome to some new I do work here lady stories. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. If you would like to support this channel, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you enjoyed the content. And now let's start with the first story. It's called Want to Complain. I worked as a 911 operator for 7 years, during which time I was promoted to shift lead, which is essentially the assistant manager for that shift. During the shift manager's 2 days off, I was the highest ranking member of our department, because we worked swing shift and the admin was already gone for the day. We were super busy one night and the phones were ringing constantly. I answered a 911 call and spoke to the caller long enough to determine that nobody was in extreme danger before I put him on hold to answer another line. The second call was another case and took me about 15 minutes to handle until the police and EMTs showed up. In the meantime, there was no one available to pick up my hold. I finally get back on the other line and the caller is incensed that I would put him on hold after he called 911. I tried to explain that we had to prioritize calls by the level of emergency, but he was not having any of it. I come to find out that he called 911 because a man in a freezer truck was going door to door in his neighborhood selling groceries. During the lockdown, mind you. And he dared to ring his doorbell. I admit, I lost my patience. I told him very bluntly that this in no way resembled an emergency and that we would not be sending police because the man in question was not violating any law. This set off my caller even more and he demanded my name and badge number, which I dutifully gave. We are required to. And then he hung up on me. Not 5 minutes later, one of my probies, whom I actually trained, stands up from his console and says, "Hey, I have a caller on the line who wants to complain about a dispatcher." When I ask which dispatcher, my probie hesitates and then says, you. So I pick up his line and sure enough, it's my crazy caller. I greet him by saying, "Hi, I'm the dispatch manager. How can I help you?" I had to keep from laughing when he started cursing at me and then hung up. Found out later he emailed the chief about my unprofessional behavior. The chief listened to the call recordings, then emailed him back to very politely call him an idiot. The next story is called Not Allowed to Do the Job. Earlier today, I had one of my biggest jobs yet. Rekeying 19 logs all to be alike. Normally, for the bigger jobs, my boss would help, but he isn't exactly the most organized and keeps losing his biting tweezers, so I was on my own. They were all to some side rooms, holding only some thick piping. The sign above them said something along the lines of fire room or something, but that wasn't my problem. Somewhere around log 14, I heard the signature Karen, me having made a parking mistake pointed out by a kind lady earlier and expecting something similar, turned around and said, "Is everything alright?" I should have known where this was going. "What are you doing here?" "I'm rekeying these logs." I was still naively thinking this was just another interested stranger. "You aren't allowed to do that. That's illegal." I knew enough to start recording at this point. I was surprised that Karen said nothing about me beginning to film. Maybe she thought I was sending my boss a message or something. "Ma'am, this is my job. The owner of this complex ordered me to do this. Please leave me alone." "No, I live here and you aren't allowed to do this. Don't make me call the police. Do you even have a license to do this?" Spoiler alert, no license is needed per se. But there's some sort of certificate for identification, so I can't just copy the key and come back or something. "I have a license. Back off and let me do my job. You are a tenant, not an owner." I know this because I was ordered to do this by the owner himself. Besides, these are side rooms to some sort of fire control area. You don't even have access here, and yet I do. Is that not proof enough? "Show me your license or I'm calling the police." "Call them then. I have no obligation to show you my verification number. You aren't my client." "I'm calling the police. They will make sure you never do this again." I was absolutely set off at this point. Frick off, lady. I'm doing my job, so leave me alone and waste someone else's time and energy. "I'm the owner's wife. You aren't allowed to do this." "I'm calling the police." I tried calming down a bit. "No, you are not. The owner doesn't live around here and is single. Try again, lady." I know I have mild anger issues and have been trying to control it, but this lady just set me off in 90 degrees heat. Sure enough, she called the police. 2 logs later, they arrived. They asked if I was supposed to be here. I said yes, showed the text between me, my boss and the real owner, got them on call to confirm and showed the police my number and the video. It was not very interesting from there. They basically told the lady not to waste police time ever again, that this wasn't her business and I wasn't in the wrong. They ordered her to desist and let me know everything was good and to continue as normal. I got the job done well. This incident was shown to the landlord. If it was up to me, I would change one pin on her door to the next size up. It wouldn't make her key not work, just make it harder to turn. Sadly, the landlord just laughed and said I couldn't do that. The last story is called Next Time We Meet. This happened 2 years ago. I worked for a security company at a European airport for about 10 years now. 2 years ago, I became a high-ranking supervisor. I'm responsible for about 400 agents. Because of that, the law states that I have to follow an additional course with 2 exams to get my degree as security manager. Basically, everyone from supervisor to manager needs to have this degree. The location of this course is at the training facility of the company. This is where all security guards of that company follow their basic training, refresh, specialized training, etc. And this is where my story begins. First of all, one of the rules states that you should wear your uniform at all times when you do work-related things, like a training or course. One exemption is for the newly hired guards. They get the uniform after the first 2 months of basic. Another is guards from smaller companies and people who do one of the manager courses. The uniform is a black pair of pants with a red and white shirt for agents, red and black for supervisors, a tie for the men that need to be worn every time, and completely black shoes. No other color is allowed. I was there with one of my fellow supervisors in our civilian clothes, and we were in a class with mostly people from other units within the company. It's been 4 years since we last were at the facility and things changed over the years, so we kinda felt lost there at first. After a few hours, I spotted a friend of mine, Chris, who recently started a course for aviation security. I was talking to him, asking how the course was and some small talk about the airport. He explained to me where the new facility restaurant is as we were on lunch break and then went back to his group. This is where the douche of the story, let's call him Kenny, walks up to me from that same group. Hey man. Hey, how are you? You seem a bit lost here. Yeah, it's all a bit new to me. And where's your uniform? Never mind, you're scheduled for the airport, right? Did you do your basic already? I knew where this was going and I couldn't let this opportunity go, so I played along. Yes, I haven't received a new uniform yet, which is true, as a supervisor wears a different uniform. I hope it suits me. Yes, I'm going to the airport after this course. I passed basic a while ago, which is all basically true. Well, I'm in training right now to be a supervisor there. Oh, you're going to be my supervisor? Nice to meet you. Yeah, whatever. Next time we meet, you better be in uniform. And wear it correctly. Got it, bud? Yes, sir. I walked off to the restaurant and told everything to my colleague. We started laughing and went on with our day. I texted my friend Chris and asked for Kenny's full name and what he was like in class. Chris told me everything. How Kenny was walking around like he knew it all. Constantly talked back to his instructors and how he didn't give a frick about the uniform or the company's dress code. Really? Kenny also told the group about our conversation and how scared I looked. He and some others laughed about it, but Chris knew this would backfire. And how right he was. Chris never told Kenny he knew me and who I was, cause he knew I'd handle it. Fast forward to a few weeks later. I passed my course the week before and just got my new red and black uniform. I was sitting at my desk going through the names of all the guards on duty today when I saw Kenny's name on there. I located his position and went to visit him. He was standing there at the X-ray machine with no tie, black and white shoes, and his shirt wasn't ironed. He didn't see me as he was too busy talking with another new guy instead of working. I talked to his team leader who told me he already gave Kenny a warning today about his uniform, but he wouldn't listen. I said I wanted to see Kenny right now in my office. A few minutes later, Kenny walks in and doesn't recognize me at first, until, Kenny! You said I needed to be in uniform the next time we met, so here I am. Kenny's eyes widened and realized who I was. Oh, yeah, I was only kidding, sir. Never mind, dude. However, let's talk about you. You're not wearing your tie. Your shirt looks like, well, crap. and your shoes aren't the right color. Not only that, but you ignored your team leader who I trained when he warned you about the uniform, and you were a real pain during your training. You are also slacking off at work. How come? Kenny just stood there, looking at the ground, and mumbled something of an excuse. I should write you up for ignoring your team leader, misbehavior, neglect, and slacking off. That's a 3-day suspension right there. But I'm in a good mood, and you are obviously new here, so I'll let this one go for now. Okay? Thank you, sir. I didn't realize it would be a problem. I'll behave accordingly, sir. Promise. Great. And, oh, one more thing, Kenny. Yes, sir? Make sure next time we meet you wear the uniform correctly. Got it, bud? And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and want to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.